This is BRICS Global Television Network's weekly news roundup. We begin with the headlines. Russia wants to expand its nuclear weapon usage rules. Indian-administered Kashmir holds elections. The People's Bank of China's cut its medium-term lending facility rate from 2.3% to 2%. Ibn Etzebeth said to become the most capped springbok in history. Hello, I'm Juliet Newell. Russian President Vladimir Putin's announced plans to expand Russia's nuclear weapon usage rules, allowing for a nuclear response to a massive air attack and any aggression from a non-nuclear state supported by a nuclear power. Although not explicitly mentioning Ukraine, the changes appear linked to the ongoing conflict that began in February 2022. Putin emphasized adapting to new military threats and risks, proposing that attacks on Russia, even by non-nuclear countries with nuclear backing, would be considered joint assaults. He stated these measures are crucial for protecting Russia's sovereignty and maintaining security. The proposed doctrine's in draft form and requires Putin's approval to take effect. He indicated that nuclear weapons are essential for the state's security and that future meetings on nuclear deterrence will be held biannually. Key officials, including former President Dmitry Medvedev, attended the public meeting where these changes were discussed. Meanwhile, Putin's announced that he expects Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan to attend the upcoming BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia next month. This follows Turkey's request to join the group of emerging economies, which would make it the first NATO member in BRICS. Erdogan is scheduled to meet with Putin on October the 23rd, a day after the summit begins. A spokesman for Turkey's ruling Justice and Development parties confirmed their interest in BRICS membership, stating that the process is underway. BRICS originally comprised Brazil, Russia, India and China, forming in 2009, with South Africa joining a year later. Recently, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran and the United Arab Emirates have also joined. Turkey previously participated in the 2018 BRICS summit in South Africa. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has met with Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov at the UN General Assembly in New York this week to discuss the war in Ukraine. That's according to Chinese state media. China and Russia have strengthened their ties significantly, with bilateral trade reaching record highs since the onset of the conflict in 2022. While Western nations accuse Beijing of supporting Moscow's aggression, China maintains a neutral stance. Wang highlighted the resilience of China-Russia relationships, stating that they have gone through ups and downs, but will continue to progress as long as they uphold strong neighbourly relations. Both nations promote a no-limits partnership, opposing perceived US-led Western dominance in global affairs. This year marks the 75th anniversary of their diplomatic relations. Additionally, Chinese President Xi Jinping is expected to attend the BRICS summit in Russia next month. China's launched an intercontinental ballistic missile, an ICBM, into the Pacific Ocean earlier this week. That's according to its defense ministry. The missile, equipped with a dummy warhead, was launched by the military's rocket force at 8:44 on Wednesday and landed in designated sea areas. The ministry characterized the test as a routine part of its annual training schedule, asserting that it complies with international law and is not aimed at any specific country or target. Now, this announcement comes amid growing concerns from the United States about China's rapid development of its nuclear arsenal. As of May 2023, China had over 500 operational nuclear warheads, with projections suggesting this could exceed 1,000 by 2030, and that's according to the US Defense Department. The remains of 42 anti-apartheid activists who died in exile over 30 years ago have been returned to South Africa this week, marking the start of a government initiative to repatriate freedom fighters. The South African government aims to honour these individuals' contributions to the struggle against apartheid, which ended in 1994. Many anti-apartheid activists perished in various countries, including Angola, Tanzania, Cuba, and Europe. South African Defence Minister Angie Motshekga announced plans to expand repatriations from other regions, shifting from individual requests to a streamlined country-to-country model. Notably, among the returned remains was PAC leader John Nyati Pokela, who received a state funeral in Zimbabwe after his death in 1985. He had been imprisoned on Robben Island before going into exile. These repatriations represent a crucial step towards healing and closure for the families and the nation. Indian-administered Kashmir has held elections to form its first government since the region's semi-autonomous state was revoked in 2019 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, a move that triggered widespread protests and unrest. The region has been under direct control from New Delhi, resulting in mass arrests and a communications blackout. Voter turnout's been recorded at about 56% in the second round, following a 61% turnout in the first phase of voting. The elections have taken place under tight security, with soldiers monitoring polling stations. Many voters have expressed a desire for representation to address their grievances following the abrogation of Article 370, which had granted special status. Regional parties are campaigning for restoration of autonomy, but key decisions will remain with New Delhi. Critics accuse Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party of attempting to divide votes among Muslim-majority areas by promoting independent candidates. The final round of voting is scheduled for October the 1st. Russian lawmakers have proposed a bill to ban the promotion of childless lifestyles, framing it as a measure against what they see as liberal ideologies conflicting with Russia's conservative values. With an aging population and declining birth rates, the Kremlin aims to reverse a democratic crisis exacerbated by the ongoing war in Ukraine. Parliament Speaker Vyacheslav Volodin stated that the legislation would prohibit the propaganda of a conscious refusal to have children. Across various media, with fines for violations ranging from 400,000 rubles for individuals to 5 million for businesses. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov expressed support for the initiative, emphasizing the need to increase birth rates. As of earlier this year, Russia reported its lowest birth rates in 25 years, and that's partially due to military conscription. The proposed measures echo past legislation targeting LGBTQ representation, reflecting a broader trend of promoting traditional family values as essential to state strength. A Vincent van Gogh painting, The Moored Boats, has sold for $32.2 million at a Hong Kong auction, falling short of expectations that it would reach up to $50 million. This painting, emblematic of Van Gogh's transition from dark realism to vibrant impressionism, was the highlight of Christie's inaugural event sale at its new Asia-Pacific headquarters. Expected to fetch between $30 and $50 million, the painting was ultimately sold at the lower end of the estimate at $32.2 million. The artwork, owned by the Italian royal family of Bourbon, Two Sicilies, reflects a significant moment in Van Gogh's career during his summer in Asnières in 1887. The auction also features other masterpieces, including Monet's Nymphias, which sold for nearly $30 million. And as Brazil continues to battle raging fires in a number of regions, there is a little bit of good news. One man's efforts to ensure cleaner air in Sao Paulo is bound to be making a difference to the poor air quality. Over 2 decades, Brazilian Helio da Silva has planted approximately 40,000 trees in Sao Paulo, transforming a neglected area in Tuquetira Park, a linear park spanning 3.2 kilometers. Initially labelled Crazy, Da Silva began his project in 2003 with no formal authorization or funding, using his own savings to collect and purchase tree cuttings. The park, now home to 160 species of trees and 45 identified bird species, was officially recognized 5 years later. De Silva, who retired in 2022, dedicates his time to caring for the trees, spending around $7,000 annually on the project. Inspired during a walk with his wife, he aims to plant 50,000 trees and often shares his journey through photo albums. His commitment to enhancing urban green spaces highlights the importance of improving air quality in polluted cities like Sao Paulo, which faces ongoing environmental challenges. Coming up, BRICS Plus Business News.
The art of Africa goes jazz. South Africa has given rise to a number of jazz artists, from trumpeter Hugh Masekela to pianist Abdullah Ibrahim and vocalist Gloria Bosman and Sibongile Khumalo. The uniquely South African strain of jazz has become an essential thread in the international jazz fabric. The latest torchbearer of that sound is Nduduzo Makhathini, a pianist and composer whose albums have made him a leading voice in African jazz. Not only is he a jazz artist, but Makhathini embodies the roles of teacher and historian.
China's announced new economic measures to address challenges such as a property crisis and sluggish consumer spending. The People's Bank of China's cut its medium-term lending facility rate from 2.3% to 2%, marking a significant easing of monetary policy. In addition, a reduction in the reserve requirement ratio aims to inject around 1 trillion yuan, that's $141.7 billion into the economy, boosting lending to businesses and consumers. To support the struggling housing market, the government will lower interest rates on existing mortgages, benefiting around 150 million people, and unify minimum down payments for homes, reducing the second home requirement from 25% to 15%. While experts view these measures as a step towards economic recovery, many emphasize the need for more fiscal stimulus. Analysts express caution, noting ongoing issues like deflation and sluggish growth, and highlight that previous measures to stabilize the property sector have had a limited impact. Meanwhile, China's economic slowdowns highlighted disparities in Shanghai, where not everyone feels the impact equally. While the government faces high youth unemployment and a property crisis, lower-income citizens and small business owners are particularly affected. Chang Guiyong, who runs a small eatery, described this year as tougher than during the pandemic, with declining domestic demand forcing many to cut back on spending. In contrast, wealthier residents report minimal changes in their lifestyles. 70-year-old Wang expressed his belief in enjoying life through spending, while 24-year-old Cassie Lu noted that stimulus measures haven't affected her shopping habits. Jewelry designer Claire Yi observed that spending might have shifted to a more moderate level rather than declining. As the government implements policies aimed at reviving the economy, including interest rate cuts, Chang remains hopeful for improvement, wishing that ordinary citizens can thrive in the changing landscape. Ethiopia's recent currency reform has sent shockwaves through its economy. On July the 30th, the government allowed the birr to float freely against the dollar, causing it to lose a third of its value overnight. Now costing 112 birr for $1 compared to 55 birr before the change. This decision came after Ethiopia faced a significant trade imbalance, with imports costing $23 billion against only $11 billion in exports. Inflation, already peaking at 30% in 2022, has worsened, hitting everyday citizens hard. In Makato Market, shopkeeper Medanit Walde Jebriel reports that her dress prices have nearly doubled, driving customers away. A civil servant, Abrish, notes that basic goods have surged in price, making survival increasingly difficult without foreign remittances. Despite the immediate pain, economists argue that the reforms could enhance export competitiveness and improve access to foreign currency, ultimately benefiting the economy. However, many citizens remain skeptical about future improvements. Gulf airlines, including Emirates and Qatar Airways, have suspended flights to Beirut amid escalating tensions between Israel and Hezbollah following intense bombing in Lebanon. The strikes have resulted in close to 600 fatalities, prompting concerns for passenger safety. Emirates announced the cancellation of flights on Tuesday and Wednesday, emphasizing crew and customer safety, while Qatar Airways halted services to Beirut until September the 25th. Etihad Airways and Fly Dubai have also cancelled flights for similar reasons. Other international airlines like Lufthansa and Air France have extended their flight suspensions to Beirut and other regional destinations due to the ongoing conflict. Meanwhile, Lebanese flag carrier Middle East Airlines is experiencing high demand, with all flights fully booked due to these cancellations. Coming up next, BRICS Plus Sport.
Coming soon on BRICS Global Television.
You donated your kidney to a stranger. So can you talk us through how that came about?
The story actually starts with a Facebook post. And unfortunately, none of their family members were a viable match for him. And they were turning outwards to try to find someone to come forward to save his life. And when I saw the message, just something resonated. And I thought to myself, maybe that's something that I could do.
The Kruger National Park, an area of beauty, the custodian of most of Africa's rhino population, a park of breathtaking nature, but also an area of horror. We begin in South Africa, where fly half Mani Libak has been unexpectedly named in South Africa's lineup for the Rugby Championship title decider against Argentina in Mbombela on Saturday, featuring 9 changes from last week's match. 3 backline adjustments include wings Cheslin Colby and Kurt Lee Arendse, as well as centre Damian de Allende. Captain Siya Kolisi, flanker Peter Steph du Toit, prop Frans Malherbe and hooker Bongi Mbonambi returned to the pack. Despite Libak's inconsistent goal kicking, coach Rassie Erasmus expressed confidence in his overall playmaking abilities. Argentina needs a win by over 7 points and 3 tries to claim the championship. South Africa leads the standings with 19 points, followed by Argentina with 14. Meanwhile, Eben Etzebeth will become South Africa's most capped rugby player when he makes his 128th appearance for the Springboks in the Rugby Championship title against Argentina this weekend. This milestone surpasses former lock Victor Matfield's record. At 32, Etzebeth aims to celebrate his achievement by lifting the championship trophy, which South Africa can secure unless Argentina wins with a bonus point. Etzebeth, who has already won 2 Rugby World Cups and faced the British and Irish Lions, has been a cornerstone of the Springbok pack, noted for his agility and leadership. Coach Rassie Erasmus has expressed the team's wish to make this a memorable day for him. Praised by Matfield and former coach Nick Mallett, Etzebeth's recognised for his blend of skills and tenacity. He has dominated lineouts alongside Ruan Nokia this season, showcasing his importance to the team in a challenging year. And in China, wrestlers continue to battle for recognition. It seems it's only passion keeping it alive. But is there a glimmer of hope? Well, at 17, Wang Tao ran away from home to pursue professional wrestling in China, a challenging and underdeveloped scene. Now 23 and the belt and road champion, he faces family disapproval and financial instability, often juggling side jobs to make ends meet. Despite the potential for growth in China's wrestling community, has struggled for recognition for decades. Wang's passion for wrestling ignited after watching The Wrestler, leading him to quit school and train intensively. Recent training in a makeshift bamboo cage has improved conditions, and he typically earns about 1,000 yuan, that's $140 per fight, supplemented by live streaming. At a recent event in Shanghai, Wang showcased his skills defending his title amid a lively crowd. Though the audience remains small, interest is growing, with the WWE's Chinese presence indicating untapped market potential. Many in the community hope for greater recognition and financial success in the future. That's BRICS Plus Sports News for now. Check out our social media for updates and be sure to subscribe so you can receive the latest news first.
Every white cross represents a farmer who has been murdered. Some call these the forgotten farm murders.
Well, here we have it. Time to turn things around. You caught the taxi and watched the money drain out of your account. Now we're going to pay you if you are lucky enough to catch our taxi. Small problem. You've got to know a few things about BRICS. No, not the stuff you build your house with. Welcome to the BRICS on Wheels show.
And finally, the Dialogue Among BRICS Civilizations series of events has taken place in Kazan, Russia. Participants engaged in discussions focused on enhancing mutual understanding, deepening friendships among nations, and strengthening practical cooperation. The event featured performances by Chinese and Russian musicians, a photo exhibition titled BRICS Countries Through the Lens, and a special showcase of Chinese painting through the ages.
Now, Africans are actively studying Chinese culture and the Chinese African, and this is very helpful in the development of contacts between China and Africa and helps in the development of trade and practical cooperation. Modernization is not westernization, because each country has its own culture.
Можно сохранить стабильность в обществе.
I was very impressed by the event. The people are equal members of the international community regardless of size or the size of the economy, or how long a history it has, or how much high level of development. In BRICS, everyone is equal. Everyone respects each other and learns each other. This is the only way to achieve the development and prosperity.
The event attracted over 300 experts, scientists, business leaders, athletes and youth representatives from the member countries. And that's your BRICS Global Television Network's weekly news roundup. For more updates, log on to our website or our social media and remember to subscribe so you're first in line for the latest news.